Okay, I'm going to show you how to do some fun cutouts. We're going to play around with cutouts around the side of numbers this year on the yearbook. So to cut those out, I'm just going to close that down for now. We're going to use Photoshop. So in Photoshop, what you want to do, I do have the picture already open over here. So if I didn't have it open, I would go up to File and Open and find it and open it up. So I'm going to show you the quick and easy way. If we have a single color background like this, it's really easy to be able to take care of it with a quick selection tool. So on the side here, you click that and you start selecting through. You have the option of brush sizes. I'm going to show you what happens if I have a small brush size. When I do this, it takes a little bit at a time, and what I'm doing is clicking and dragging out from, and as I click and drag, it will choose all of the pixels that are similar in color. You can also do this with a larger brush. You can just kind of come out here and see about how big that brush is. Be a little careful, don't go too extreme. So that would be too large to be able to figure that out. So I'm going to go down here to about there. So again, you just keep clicking and dragging out, and I do this a little bit at a time. I click and drag and then I drop it. The reason is if you go too far by accident, I'm going to go through here, and then I'm going to go a little bit too far out of my hair. So now I accidentally went where I don't want to. Now I can just go up here and go back one part at a time. So if I go undo, edit, undo, I can take that back away and then just kind of edge up to that edge again, and as I click, that will select. Now if you go too far also, you can also make a change by using your Alt key. Your Alt, you can see how in this little circle here that it changes from a plus to a minus. The Alt key, if I do the minus, will take away a little bit. You can see it's taking away just a little bit at a time, so instead of doing the minus on that one, I'm just going to step backwards a couple of times. Edit, undo will take back your very last thing that you did. Step backwards will keep going back one at a time. So it was correct back here. So right there I'm going to stop with that. So that's the quickest way to select around. You can see that it took a little bit, or it leaves a little bit down by my hand. I can zoom in if I want to and choose a smaller brush. Oops. Choose a smaller brush up here. So I'm going to go back to the quick selection. Every time you click a tool over here, the top bar changes. So I'm going to go back to the plus. I'm going to pick a smaller brush, and quite a bit smaller. Okay, so that I can just take through there. Again, now I'm going to undo that because I clicked in that spot. I'm going to use my Alt, and I'm just going to take that back out of there, right down to my hand. Okay, now I'm going to see it all on the screen, so if I go View, Fit on Screen, that fits it in. Now what I want to do is go up to Refine Edges also, and I'm going to show you what happens with Refine Edges. If you take the radius, you want to always have a little bit of a radius around the picture. You can see what it's doing here. I'm going to go extreme so you can see. Really extreme does too much. The radius does is give you a little bit of blur towards those edges so they're not so sharp. If I don't have any on there, and so it's kind of jagged like through here and up through here, which doesn't look very natural, and down through the hand here. By making this a little bit fuzzier, just by a radius, so I'm going to go with a radius of 2. Feathering is how many pixels will soften. You can see how that softens up that edge too out here when I do that. If I go too far with this again, it goes way too much. So I'm just going to go down to about a feather of 1 and a radius of 2. And you can click on this and actually delete to put them in and out too. So I can do that. So that's good. So now I'm going to say OK. And what that does, it resets it back to go from there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select the inverse, and then I'm going to hit my delete key. And what that should do, I'm going to go ahead and make it, actually I'm going to leave it for a second. Instead of doing that, I need to open it up. I'm going to just double click on here. You see there's a little lock right here. We need to take that lock off. Say OK. once you have it opened once, you can hit the lock above here. Before that, it doesn't work that way. You have to do the double click to do that. So double click it to open it. Then I'm going to have my select all at that point. I'm going to go view fit on screen again so that you can see the running lines around everything. This going up the side tells me that it's all there. I'm going to hit my delete key and you can see that it goes to a clear. The reason I paused there for a second is because it didn't have clear as an option, and I had to open up the background for it to be able to be clear. It only gave me an option of black, white, or colors back there. In order to get a clear, you have to open it. The little checkers here, you might think that there's something there. That those checkers indicate that the background is clear. What that does is make it so that it will actually float over top of things and you can see backgrounds through it. So now once you get to the point that you have it selected then and did everything so that you have a clear background, now I'm going to save it. So I'm going to go File, Save As. Always remember to do a Save As so you keep your original the way that it is. So Save As, since I did a few things to it like opening up the background and putting a transparent, it automatically changed it to a PSD, which is Photoshop. I'm going to change this to a TIFF. TIFF and PNG are your only two options that will allow you to do a clear background to it. TIFF is a printing document. PNG is a view only, so you could do that on like websites or things that you would just be seeing the picture on things. We're going to use a TIFF because this is going to be printed. I'm going to say OK and save. I'm going to know where I'm putting this. I did start a folder out here named Cutouts, so I'm going to use that. I can rename it if I want. Doesn't matter as long as I have the cutouts on there. Then I hit save. Compression, make sure it says none. It should be set to that. Probably the first time that you save it will not automatically have the save transparency down here though. That is very important. That is how you end up seeing that background. So it will come up here and ask you, it will say that many programs don't support this in TIFF. That's fine, the program we're using does, so I say yes, and then you go to OK. Once you've set, and it will ask you if you want to increase the file size, that is fine also. Once you set the save transparency, it should be the default and keep coming up every time after that. So now that's saved in